Good evening, everyone. My name is Jared Zuckerman, and I am one of the speech and debate instructors that will be talking to you today about congressional debate, which is the debate course that we will offer this semester, and it's a cornerstone class of our overall program. So I thought for tonight, in keeping this meeting short, we'll start by introducing ourselves, explaining a little bit of what to expect in the class, and then answer some common questions that we get from parents throughout the year.
All right, I'm Mr. Justin. I'm one of the instructors for the class. I am a teacher at Field Kinley High School in Kansas, in Coffeyville, Kansas. This is my 7th year in the classroom, and so just a couple of things about my coaching career so far. I've had 4 state medalists in debate and forensics, and I've also had 3 students qualify for the national tournament. I myself am also a former competitor. I competed in both speech and debate. Went to state many times in speech, went to nationals twice as well. So I'm always thrilled to still be involved in this activity.
And like I mentioned, my name is Mr. Jared. I teach at Glenbrook North and at Glenbrook South High School. This is my 17th year in the classroom. I'm also originally from Kansas. And when I was there, in addition to my role in the Glenbrooks, I've been lucky to have 12 state champions in debate and 3 national championships in debate. So we both have been teaching debate and speech for a long time now. And although we both come with a background in both activities, we'll really just kind of emphasize the benefits of congressional debate.
Yes. So let's start with what to expect in the class. So first of all, congressional debate is a style of middle school and high school debate that's very popular all across the country. There's a congressional debate circuit nationally that students compete on. It's a very real world style debate that's very popular. The way the congressional debate works is it looks at real laws, and the students debate as if they're actual members of Congress. So they're not known by their first name. They're actually known by representative or senator, depending on what chamber that they're in. So the cool thing about congressional debate is that we don't tell the students what side of a debate or what side of an issue to be on. They get to pick whatever side they feel, if they're for a bill or against a bill. They do their own research. They write a speech either in favor or against the bill, and then they compete against each other in a mock debate on that bill. And the whole style of the debate actually has an agenda where we debate many bills at once. So the reason why congressional debate is so valuable is because it reinforces some essential life skills. The first being critical thinking, listening, speaking, asking questions, answering questions, and then most importantly, how to clash with your opposition skillfully and reflectively. So it's not just that they're giving speeches with their own viewpoints, but they're also responding to each other's viewpoints, and the ability to push back against ideas that they may disagree with, or to persuade the chamber to think the way that they do. Those are important skills, and that's why this style of debate is so valuable and so popular.
So what do you expect in the class, and why do we do this? Well, first of all, both of us as professors and teachers of debate and speech, we do this because we see the life skills that are benefiting students. And it's really, the benefit is so far exceeds what you get in the individual debate. So to echo what Justin said, I think it's valuable that children, especially at this age where we're combating fake news, when we're looking at in a prism just the news websites that we want to follow, the news channels, and we have tunnel vision on engaging people that we disagree with. We think that this activity maybe now is more important than ever. And that's why you see some states going to a requirement for speech or debate as part of high school graduation. And when we talk about these skills that you see on the slide, the exchanging of ideas, presentation, engaging your audience, there are elements of this that you would say sound like a speech class, because we do expect students to present in front of the group. But where we take the speech class and make it more dynamic is students who are having to take their notes, listen to what other people have to say, ask them questions, and focus their ideas and their energy on the arguments being made in a debate, how credible they are, and how to counter them. And so the fruition of all this work, hopefully with fifth grade through ninth grade, eighth grade students, is that we're just building their self-confidence, their writing skills, and most importantly, we're making them more engaged citizens. So that when we look at political issues, they understand that there are two sides. Those two sides might both have validity, and then ultimately they have to come up with their own opinion on which side they want to be.
Yes. So here's how this class and these skills that they learn will prepare them for college or even life at the next level. So according to the Educational Research and Review, students who participate in speech and debate see an additional point difference on their ACT score versus students who don't do speech or debate. So these skills that they learn are so critical and they're applicable against so many other sectors of education. I will also say a few years ago, the National Speech and Debate Association hosted their national tournament in the Miami area, the Fort Lauderdale area, because Broward County, they make debate a required subject across all their secondary. So from 6th grade to 12th grade, students are taking a debate class as a requirement for their graduation. And the gains that they've seen across every discipline, across English, especially science with the research piece, that is absolutely the truth. So that's why debate is such a valuable skill to have in a class to take. So it prepares them for that next level. Even more specifically, students are going to improve in all of those areas, from reading and interpreting complex nonfiction texts, developing and writing arguments based on those texts, being able to verbally express and defend those evidence-based claims, and listening to and interpreting their opponent's arguments while collaborating with their peers. And most importantly, as many high schools and students in general need, good time management skills, because there's a time limit for speaking. There's a time limit for cross-examination. There's even a time limit for how much prep time that they get. So they learn how to manage doing all those things in a timely and professional manner. And that's why this is such a valuable activity. Those skills that they could take into their adult life in college, into whatever career that they choose to go into. Students who are speech and debate students are always more preferred in the workforce. And a lot of employers say that they can tell that those students did speech and debate because they are more professional. They manage their time so much better. So these skills will make students stand out in those respects.
So the last thing that we're going to look at are just some common questions. And before we do this, I want to just pause and talk about how if you have a younger student and we're talking about a lot of the skills that they might need at 25, 30, or 40, what is the benefit of getting them involved in speech and debate at an early age? And part of the way the class situates itself is around where their skills are at that age. So if we're working with a fifth or sixth grader, we might be looking at issues like whether or not schools should have uniforms. So it might be a lighter topic, but we use that as a vehicle to teach them basic research skills, getting the self-confidence to not just speak, but argue with one another. And as we evolve that into seventh or eighth grade, where their critical thinking skills are expanding, it is debating the more current events that are taking place. You know, does a universal basic income work as a political theory in the United States? Could we provide people with $500 or $1,000 a month as a way to reduce or potentially eliminate poverty? And we ask kids age appropriate questions. And each week, the question changes. So the topics that they're researching that they leave with give them a better understanding of some of the important topics we're grappling with as a society. From a parent point of view, these are the two most common questions we get. So I'll let Justin take the first one, and then I'll finish by explaining kind of what makes congressional debate the perfect format for this class.
Yes. So one of the common questions that we get is, what's the difference between speech and debate? There are a lot of similarities, but there are some big differences as well. So speech, to me, what I always tell people is that speech allows you to find your niche. There's many different events in the speech world that you can participate in. So in addition to speaking, there's also acting events in the speech world. There's different interpretation events. Events like humorous interpretation, where you act out a piece of literature with a humorous overtone, or dramatic interpretation, where you act out literature with a dramatic overtone. that may have some humor in there, but the overall premise is dramatic. There's a partner activity that's an acting event called duo interpretation, where you are acting out a piece of literature with a partner. In addition to the acting events, there are the general speaking events. There's an informative event you can do. There's also a persuasive speaking event that you can do. There's prose and poetry in the speech world. So if you like to read short stories or you like to read work in a poetic form, there's an event for you there. So speech is very broad in that it allows you to find what you're good at and what you're passionate about, versus debate is much more heavy on the argumentation, having a point of view, conveying that point of view, trying to persuade a judge or an audience to agree with your point of view. And not that you can't do that in speech, but debate is very much focused on the persuasiveness of the presentation. Mr. Jared will get into the next question about the different formats of debate, but it's always valuable to do both speech and debate, but there are those key differences there.
So one of the reasons we picked congressional debate as the format for this class comes to kind of two practicalities. The first is it requires the least amount of training. And what I mean by that is policy debate and some of the high school debate events that are offered require daily practice, almost require an entire class that students commit to. And that's why you see a lot of the high schools, at least in the Chicago community, that don't just offer debate as an after school activity, but are giving students that as an elective because of how time intensive it is. So congressional debate is a 3-minute speech that usually comes with a 1 or 2 minute questioning period. The second reason this format of debate works really well is because with 1-hour classes each week, it is the easiest way to make sure everybody's voice gets heard. We can allow every student to participate without just being a passive observer, in a format that guarantees each week that your student gets feedback and improvement. The other forms of debate are important, and sometimes, depending on class size, we can still do those, but the heavy emphasis is congressional debate. The final reason we choose this as kind of the venue or the platform is because most of the debate events at the middle school and high school level are team events. And to build a relationship with a working partner, a colleague, to practice with them, the logistics of that make it hard in a class where we're just together for 1 day a week. So the way this works is that if we have 8 people in the class, we look at a political issue, we'll divide the group in half, 4 and 4, based on their choice. And usually there are 2 or 3 students that don't have a strong opinion on either side, so that we can give everybody what they request. And that determines which side of the topic you're on. Once we get into higher numbers, like 12 or 15, think about how that logistically works in a 1-hour class if everybody's giving a 3-minute speech plus a cross-examination. Now, not everybody finishes their time, but when we compare that to policy debate, where the speeches are 8 minutes and 5, and a normal debate takes 2 hours to complete for just 4 people, the logistics make sense for a Zoom class to do congressional debate. We think it's a great introduction to debate. And even if the high school that they're attending does a different format, we're giving them the foundational skills of how to build an argument that will carry over to whatever platform they use when they go to high school. So to kind of wrap up, we are really excited for the debate class. Our roles in the program are slightly different. Mr. Justin is the primary instructor. So over a 12 or 16-week class, he's there for, if not all the classes, the ones that don't conflict with like other school responsibilities. I'll be the substitute teacher. I'll oversee the class. And I will also be at almost every other class on the Zoom as well, just to make sure that we can maximize the amount of student to teacher interaction. That concludes our presentation. When we do send out this information, if you have any questions, feel free to email me, and I'll make sure that the program directors provide that information so that we hopefully can get you and your students enrolled in our course soon.